Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam, Sakanavavadu, Sakanapunaktu, Sakaviryam Karavavagai, Tejasvina Vadida Mustamavat Vishadakai, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham, Malam Sarirasya Chavaityakena, Yopa Karotum Pravaram Muninam, Patanjali Pranjali Manatosmi. Good morning. So, happy Independence Day. It's a beautiful day. In a way, I think we are also looking for independence in our life. The word in Sanskrit for it is a very beautiful word called Swatantra. Swatantra means tantra, tan is the root, means to compose, to prepare, to weave, to fabricate, to extend. So Paratantra is when somebody declares, defines the norms of life, and we have to follow that, then that means that we are controlled by some external factors. So the Paratantra is therefore hurts our ego. Even though somebody manages you well, makes you happy, we want to be free. The quest for freedom is, of course, very well remembered today in India. But the true freedom, the word Swatantra, is an ongoing journey, a goal for us. You know, the Swatantra is Mumukshu. One who attains liberation is the true Mukta. So how does that differentiate from the Swatantra that we're talking about? There's no difference. The scale is different, maybe. When we say that no, we are no more ruled by external factors, we are ruling by ourselves, bootstrapped by ourselves. And in my personal life, I am free. I make my own decision. Therefore, I am independent. So that part, I think we are all free. But then freedom means happiness. Why the happiness is not there? Not always there. That means the Swatantra has not been fully released, fully realized. Why? I make my decision. Nobody tells me what I need to do. Am I not free? The problem comes in, which is that I that you're talking about. So I think just now we heard about different types of defining the self. So I am controlled by my senses, my mind. Therefore, I am not really liberated because the mind, my senses becomes mine. Therefore, they are not me. They are belonging to me. And therefore, my thoughts that declare my life decision is in a way a Paratantra to me. So therefore, I am not truly liberated until I have control over my senses and mind. Vashikara. So that's why Patanjali has given us the study that we do, the penance that we do, the yoga that we do is nothing but the fight for the freedom to attain Swatantra. So I just wanted to somehow say that to you today so that the Independence Day be our day of struggle for every day. So therefore the yoga is, we can say, Chitta Vritti Nirodham, we can translate to yoga is a struggle for Swatantra. So Mahatma Gandhi, therefore, is a yoga guru for us who taught us to be free. Of course, he raised initially with the Paratantra, But then he wanted us to lead towards Swatantra. When Gandhi's vision, we haven't attained Swatantra until we get the liberated living. Now, coming back to our sessions, so we have learned about Chitta Vritti Nirodham is the way to control the mind, therefore the mastery, therefore the Swatantra. But in this struggle of learning and practicing it, if you tried, you would know there are impediments. The impediments we saw in terms of physical problems, vyadi and all that, but also the value system. What is the value that you have? What are you aiming to achieve? The values are not good, no matter how good the scriptures say, no matter what you do, what rituals you do, what practice you do not attain the full potency of the goal. Therefore, we need to potentially now draws back our attention. Wait a minute, I've given you so far, but you should also start looking at your values. What is that you're doing for? So just have a quick recap. So we know that Samprajnana Samadhi is the way to attain Chitta Vritti. For that, our mind has to be Egagram. That we learned. Then we also saw the Ekagram, or a single pointedness of the mind, requires some techniques, and Patanjali gave 5 upayas. You remember that? In Sutra 1.20, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadi, Prajna Purvaka, Itaresham. You need Shraddha, you need Virya, endurance, power, Samadhi, all this kind of upayas he gave. Then he said the upayas have to be practiced. Abhyasa has to be done. The abhyasa have to come with vairagya. Whenever you say abhyasa, it comes with the vairagya. Remember the sutra, the 12th one? Abhyasa vairagyabhyam tan nirodha. Then we say this vairagyam should be such that it has got control over the senses, mastery of the senses, Vashikaram. We saw in the 15th Sutra different types of vairagyas. Then we said, okay, I got vairagyam, but then I need some help. Said, go to Ishvara, Ishvara Pranidhanatva. In 23rd is so. You also have the Ishvara into a contemplation. Use the Ishvara's nama as the japam, because see, Patanjali is giving this to the Uttama Adhikari. That means the one who is capable of understanding and following that. For them, the intellectual ability, the mental poise, the discipline, the good values, all needed. But what about someone like me who has not got all those things, the Mattima, Adhamadhikaris? He's going to give you some additional things in terms of asanas and pranayamas and techniques. So we said to attain the Chitta Prasadhanam, in other words, the lucidity of the mind, the clear mind, to do that, I use the Ishvara. I know that we saw in the last classes, Vyadi, Sthanam, Alasyam, Alambanam. You remember that? So all that, Dukkha Dormanasya, Angame Jatva, bodily weaknesses, uncontrolled breathing. So we talked about all the impediments which are physical body imposed impediments or the senses made impediments. You need to control them. To have the control, to avoid them, I have given an option of not an option, suggestion of taking Ishvara Pranidhana. Therefore, by worshipping Ishvara, the vyadi, the alasyam, the inertia, the lethargy, everything will go, and I will become a lot more tuned towards that one. But here there's an important point. So physical ailments will go if you worship God and do japas. I give an example of the Tarpana mantra, if you remember that. When you decide to do that, even the physical ailments, when the death will wait for you to finish it. Therefore, you must have the Shraddha on it. But there is something beyond the body and the senses. What is that that creates problem for us? It's your mind itself. Remember, body gives you the instrument of action, but it's got pains, vyadis, lethargies, so we sort it out. The vasanas gives you the desire to go out, sensory pleasures. But even the body is healthy, senses control is there. I'm not able to sit and practice yoga abhyasam because my intrinsic nature, my gunas, my durgunas, my vasanas comes as jealousy, intolerance, greed, avarice, enmity. They are not coming from the senses. I'm not smelling jealousy. I'm not hearing jealousy. It comes from my mind. So even though I'm trying to pure my mind, to control my mind, the mind is creating all these interventions. So until the interventions are gone, Chitta Prasada, which basically the Shuddha mind will not come. So this is what now he's going to tell us. So to do this, you need to develop good values, because jealousy is a bad value. So you must not have bad things. But it's not that I inherited somehow. It is my genes or whatever you can say. So the child does not, no mother teaches a child to steal, does it? No. But Krishna steals Navaneetam. Why is that? It is inborn tendencies, the natural qualities will come out. And therefore, we have an obligation, duty to modulate them. Nature can be nurtured. That is a very essential nature of the power of nature, is that I will create things and I'll give you the intellectual power to regulate it. So here we need to, therefore, the next 6 or 7 sutras are very interesting sutras, which are very useful sutras. So we'll read once and then we go into detail of it. The 33 is a very, very popular sutra. So Maitri, you can say if you want to.
Maitri,
Karuna, Mudita, Upekshana, Sukha Dukkha, Punya, Vishayana, Bhavanatas, Itta, Prasadhanam. So this particular sutra we'll see today, this is about the good values. This is for the Uttama Adhikari, as I say, who is able to control and change the character, which we are all try to. But in addition to that, he gives you the following. Prachardana, Vidaranabhyam, Va, Pranasya, Vishayavati Va, Pravarti, Utpanna, Manasaha, Sthiti Nibandhini, Vishokava, Jyotismati, Vitaraga, Vishayam va
Vishayam va
chittam.
Chittam.
Swapna
Sapna
nidra
Nidra
jnana
Jnana
alambanam va
Alambanam va
yata
Yata
abhimata
Abhimata
jnanadva.
Jnanadva.
See the word here, the word va here means in Sanskrit, va means also or. So all these are also. So basically, Patanjali is giving one sutra which is very important, which is Maitri Karuna Mudodi Pikshana. Then he give you 5 more sutras as additional benefits for us to go through it. They're very, very important, very practical, common sense values. Let's see the first one. Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshana. It's a very simple in a Vachyartham. We say Vachyartham first, and then we see how to actually interpret that. So, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshnana. So, there are 4 words there. So, Maitri means love, fraternity, friendship, amity. To be pally with, to be friendly with. That's one very good value. See, you can inculcate good value, but the good value should not be coming on its own. It has to really replace a bad value. See, I can say, look, I educate poor children. I give them money, good value. But I loot the bank. That's a bad value. So Robin Hood is not a good thing. You cannot really loot and then give it to somebody else. So every good value should replace a bad value. So now he is telling amity, love, and friendship is a good value. What it means is that he is signifying this value you must inculcate to replace, to remove a bad value. You can think of what the bad value it would be. Think about it in a minute. So that is a Maitri. Karuna means compassion. Karuna means compassion. Compassion is not pity. It can be pitiable and be sad. Pity is it's a nature of mind. Karuna is action. So the root is kara. You have to do. So compassion is action done to heal others. Compassion. Muditam. Muditam means happiness, blissfulness, joyfulness. Always be happy. It's very good, very important, Smile is a very smiling, as you know, smiling exercise the facial muscles. There is no other exercise to bring tejas to your body, to your face. Mudita Padanam. In Yoga Abhyasam, the very important step is to have Mudita Padanam. Have the face as you see all the statues of Buddhas and Vishnu, Shiva, half-faced yoga posture, but you see the smile. The smile is very important because that is very nature of it. If you keep your face smiley, it's very important. So that's what Mudita. Upekshana. Upekshana means udhasinam, indifference, not really bothered about, overlooking, equanimity. So there are many, many good values in life, but Patanjali chooses the 4 to stress upon, and we see how it actually matters. Then he talks about the nature of people, the experience that we go through. Sukham, you know what is Sukham is? Joy. So if you look at anybody, the relationship, you look at it, they are either joyful, or they are sad, despair. So you can, okay, there can be in between a gray area, just leave it for a while. Largely we are joyful or we are sorrowful. Or largely we are doing virtuous things, meritorious things, punyas we do. Or largely we do papas. So in these Vishayas, in things that are giving you joy, see, I'm connecting those two sentences now, two phrases now. Joyful occasions, joyful Vishayas, Dukkha Vishayas, Punya Vishayas, Apunya. Apunya means Papa. Is an antonym. So all this in this kind of Vishayas. So what do I have to do? I got 4 values. I have these 4 Vishayas. What do I have to do? You have Bhavana. Bhavana means inculcating, cultivating, behaving. So you have to behave with this value in this 4 situation. What happens if I do that? I get Chitta Prasadana. I get the mind purified. So the prayojanam is the mind which was not purified by my trials because my values are intervening. Therefore, to stop the intervening values, I replace the good values. Here he is not giving any bad values. He is just showing 4 good values. So let's see how it actually relates to. We had to take the first value and put in the first context, the second sentence. Maitri Bhavam should be in a Sukha Vishayana. What does it mean? If somebody is happy, see, the happy people you see, when you see the happy people, you become friendly to them. Take them as your amicable, your relations, your friendship. Why is saying this? See, an evil quality that emerges in our mind all the time is avarice, asuya, jealousy. When somebody has got something nice and become joyful, you become very jealous. I become very jealous. Why I become jealous? I don't know. When somebody is happy and enjoying life, somehow maybe I'm not happy. I'm getting envious of them. Now, if I replace that person, instead of being a stranger, if it is my child, my relationship, my dear friend, if he is happy, what happens to my greed, jealousy? It doesn't come. In literally speaking, if you love somebody, that happiness will not create in you nasuya. Therefore, what Patanjali is giving, he is a master psychologist. He is telling you your problem, your disease is the asuya, this jealousy. To cure the jealousy, what you have to do is change the context of jealous creation. Jealous creation happens because, say, Naresh is happy. I am jealous of it. Now what I do? Naresh is my friend, my bhaiya, my boy. The moment I think that way, I don't have any enmity. I don't have jealousy on him. It doesn't need to be Naresh, it could be anybody on the street. If I see somebody is joyful, the moment I see somebody is joyful, they become my friend, my relationship. See, something we need to understand. I had a discussion with somebody this morning with a very close friend of mine. So the problem is that he's suffering because there's an issue. Now, if you take, who doesn't suffer from problems, yeah? But if you take all your problems and look at it objectively, what is the cause of this problem? Ignore the physical pains, ailments, because you know that needs to be cured. The economic problem, you need to go find a job. Okay, we don't really see that money is giving us grief. Money is giving stress, maybe, to get more money. It doesn't give you, distress or grief or sorrow. But the sorrow, 99.9% come from the people who are related to me. Is it not? Somebody walking the street, he doesn't cause me pain. But my child, my wife, my brother, my sisters, my family. So therefore, so what do I do? So do I have to be in a family to have this problem in life? How do I handle this? How can I be loving to them if they are giving trouble to me? Because you are not loving them. Because if they love to you, they will not, that is not trouble to you anymore. But there's another way to look at it. This is a very important point to bear in mind, because why are we born in a family and growing in a family? That's by nature. But then you become a clan. But God's creation is, when you are an individual, a jivatma, you come in born into a family, to a parent, the mother and the father. You inherit their qualities in a gross body, maybe also in subtle body. But then you are different, Rama is a Ekapatni Vrada, but Dasharatha has got many wives. Dharma is Yudhishthira is very different from Arjuna, born to the same mother. Therefore, we are all individually different, but we come into the family. But we know that our Janma is Bhoga Ayatanam. We came to experience life. Because what do we carry when we come into this world? We carry the burden of Papa Punya. You need to expend it. The moment you expend it for this one, it's called a Prarabdha Karma, you'll be gone. Nobody can stop you. But that is not a punishment, that is a relief, because I came with the burden of Papa Punya. I accumulate more. What I accumulate more doesn't affect me now, generally. So therefore, this tenure here is to spend. Then go to the next one, next one, next one. That's how I reached liberation. Now, how do I spend this? What kind of context I need to spend it? So I need to have the punyas to be shared, spent joyfully, the papa to be endured. So the relationship is given to us as a punching bag. That is where we get grief, that's where we get despair. By doing that, our papas are being reduced. Now, if you look at it now, this is what Paramacharya said. If you look at it, therefore, whoever causes us grief, if you look at them in a Maitreya Bhavam, because they are actually making you to liberate your burden. Every time they cause a grief to you and you suffer, your burden of papa that you're carrying silently is reduced. If somebody is taking my laden weight, what do? I thank them. Because without them, the weight will be on my burden. Therefore, if somebody is causing me grief in my family, my loving related personalities are causing me trouble, I thank them for being there. See, this is how you replace animosity with love and amity. Because at the end of the day, they have a purpose. Their purpose is to be with you. That's the reason why family means there will be grief, there will be joy. But then you take it as, you cannot really unload this to somebody else. Okay, I just digressed, but I think it's very important to know. The Maitreya Bhavam is a very important Bhavam. Paramacharya wrote a very beautiful song for the United Nations, starting with the Maitri Bhaje. So the whole world should be joyful, and you should be looking at the whole world as your relationship. Same way, when somebody is sad, whoever it is, you have to be compassionate. Karunya. Karuna is not sympathy. Karuna is not crying. See, it's very important. This placement should be exactly the right way, as Patanjali says. If somebody is dukkha, you don't show them amity, friendship, and love. Why? Because you will be sad. Oh, my friend is sad, I will cry. Oh, my child is crying, so I cry. What's the point? We make a big mistake. Every time when somebody is crying, our very close relationship, we go there and we start crying. Because we think by crying with them, we show the love to them. Maybe maybe not. But what Patanjali says, no. When somebody is sorrowful, no matter who it is, your value is karunyam, karuna. Compassion means compassionate action to heal. That healing could be your tears. I have no problem with that. You shed a tear for them because you are compassionate, and that's fine. But there's more than that, right? But again, what about somebody who is a person I do not know? He is suffering. Be compassionate. What about a guy who I do not like, but he is in dukkha? Be compassionate. This is the blanket law. But you see, to be compassionate to them, to even to person that you do not like, means there is another value you need. What is that? Magnanimity, generosity, love. See, there are a lot of additional values will come the moment you start putting karuna. Now, these are all very practical steps. We should actually, the learning this sutra is not actually memorizing the words, but actually to implement it. Okay, so by this we have divided the world into two groups: Sugha people, Dukkha people. For Sugha people, I will be showing them fraternity, amity, take them as my family. Therefore, my asuya won't come, my greed won't come, my avarice won't come. For Dukkha people, I will apply my karunyam. Therefore, I won't be sad with them, but I will actually lift them out of this grief. Right. Then what about these people? The Sukha Karanam and Dukkha Karanam is because they do good things and bad things. So we saw that state in Sukha Dukkha state. Now we look at their action. Somebody doing punya, somebody doing papa. What do I do with those who do punya? Be happy. Mudita. Whoever does punya, meritorious deed, satkarya they do, no matter who they are, you be happy. Why it is important? Because what happens is, when somebody is doing, say, even take a simple things, no? Or I tell my friend, look, every Sunday I give food for 5 people. You should be happy. You go back and say, oh, how come he's doing it? I'm not doing it. Or maybe he's giving the old food. Maybe he's being discarded once. Or maybe he's doing a show off. Now, very easy we can say, criticize people. Even if I see in India, people do this kind of they donate something and they write in a big way, donated by so-and-so. Which is a very silly thing to do, but at least he has given, donated. I can't comment on him because if I'm not even donating anything. But what we do, we blame them. We find fault in them. Or even if I want to do it, that's why in Tamil, there is a poetry, one word, beautiful things, sutras. Aram chaya virumbu. That means dharmam chara is in Vedas. You at least desire to do dharma. The next line says, Aruvadu sinam. You should control your anger. Why? Because if I give donations, you will see and you'll be tempted to do donations. Or even I do more and more, people will come to me and say, oh, give me more. I will get angry. I can't give it to you. I've given 5. The day's quota is finished. Anger will come. So you have to be really, really careful that your good value blankets out all the small values, small bad thoughts comes into your mind. So whoever is doing punya, you be happy. And whoever is doing papa, heinous acts, evil acts. Well, if you have, of course, this is a gentle statement. No, if your duty is to protect from the evil people, you go and fight. That's no problem. But here we're talking about a gentle case. When somebody is doing papa, sinful action, Patanjali says, upekshana. Be indifferent to them, overlook them, equanimity. Don't hate them. Please don't hate them. Don't blame them. Their action may be bad. That person is not bad because everybody is Paramatma. But you show indifference. Don't touch him. Don't ignore him. The ignorance is the best cure for them. So I think this is a very simple sutra, but it's basically giving you a very important value. This value we should apply in our life. If you apply in our life, what happens is that the Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam will take us towards Uttama Adhikari. And this will reduce the tamasic thoughts, rajasic thoughts in our mind. Therefore, when you sit down for yoga, abhyasam or japam, you are comfortable. This will not come. So this is something which we should practice. So by cultivating the values of amity, love, compassion, happiness, we do that. Now he is going to give you an additional values. He says, Prachadhana, Vidaranabhyam, Pranasya. But that means also. Of course, some people start taking this in a great way and then talk about the prana yoga here. And I don't think Patanjali meant to dwell deep into this because we're going to talk about it in the chapter 2. But here he is giving a technique, a technical term used here is Prachadhana. Prachadhana, Vidarana, Abhyam. Abhyam means both. Pracharana, Vidarana, Abhyam. What is Prachadhana? What is Vidarana? Abhyam? Pranasya. So let us see little meaning of it. You know, we saw that in the impediments, we saw the swasha praswasha as the impediment. You are breathing the air that comes out, exhalation, which basically means also the inhalation, which follows through. Swasham is that comes out, praswasham. So that, if you can, Viranabhyam, restrained. Now, there's a lot of insight into this. I'm not going to dwell deeper into this at this stage, but I'll give you enough to understand. So dharana is what is here implied. Dharanam is grahanam, to absorb that into this. So if I am doing the japam on Ishvara Dhyanam, then bringing Ishvara's form, name, and everything about that into my mind, to Samadi. That's dharana. This is the precursor to dhyanam. Here, he talks about the prana. The control, it is the word dharana. Dharana abhyam. This too. By controlling your exhalation and inhalation of the prana, respiration, what is not said out is the missing part. Missing part is what? Chitta prasadana. Your mind will get stability also by controlling your breathing. So the word, understand the word also. It is not what Patanjali's main focus is. But it says it can also be attained. And if you want to go through the route, then in chapter 2, we're going to talk about it. Why? How can it be a breathing part, which is very gross, air just goes inside and coming out? How can that be elevating me to have good values without even knowing Maitra, Karuna, all these things I do not know, just by controlling my breathing? How can I be jealousless? This is very wonderful, isn't it? So here we need to really understand something we talked about in Vedanta as well. Prana is the life energy. Of course, we easily associate with the prana vayu. It's a gross form. The prana is a different name to the chittam. Chitta viryam is prana. That's why when somebody is dead, we say the prana is gone. But we know that when somebody is dead, this chittam, what is the chittam? Chittahabhasam. In the Gita class, it's the Atma number 2. Chittahabhasam, the egoity, is gone. So therefore, the prana and the chittam are going together. They are not different. So what do you have to understand? Therefore, chittam is my mind. Chiddabhasam is the mind mimicking the Atma, my pure consciousness. Chiddabhasam is, this is Vedanta, but just want you to remember, Chiddabhasam is what is giving me the false notion of identity. Myself, I. Therefore, I lead a life. In this life, I need yoga. Therefore, I need to now control my mind. Therefore, I got high values being taught. Ishvara Dhyanam and Maitra Bhavam, Mudita Vatanam, and all these things are being told. But now I know the mind is prana as well. Either in addition to what I do or alone. I normally take it in addition to. By doing, that's why when you do Sandhya Vandanams and all this thing, or any puja, do pranayama. What is the point of holding the nose and breathing 3 times or whatever? It is an indication to say, I am having a sankalpam of doing this japam. Oh, my mind, may you be in Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami. Don't oscillate. So don't oscillate. I cannot tell the mind because I haven't developed the Uttama Adhikaram. But therefore I use the gross form. I regulate this breathing. I do this inhalation, exhalation. Therefore, the whole Patanjali, the way he is, I think is why he is called the master of psychology, because he makes it so easy. He gives a cure. What he's doing is Pratibhaksha Upasa. What you need to resolve, you take the opposite and superimpose on it. Enmity with love. Dukkha is a compassion. Like that, whatever is not working, bring the opposite of it and put it on it. This is if you go to management school, they teach you this kind of thing, to negotiating skill. If you are very poor negotiator, then you pretend to be the other side of the negotiating party, and you ask questions. So you basically think through it, common sense. So here he says about the swasha praswasha. Every time he says swasam, which means uncontrolled breathing. How many of you are thinking about your breathing? How many of you take time to see, how am I breathing? Take a minute, try to take a long breathing. Inhale, hold it. When you inhale it, hold it. Your air is in your lungs. Exhale slowly. Take your time. Take your time to ensure the last bit of air is gone. Visualize it. Bhavan is very important. When you inhale it, imagine that I have a cylinder. My nose goes to the cylinder. I got a 1 foot of cylinder. So I'm going to inhale whatever I could. Then I keep it there. I hold it for maybe a few seconds. Don't struggle. Then I exhale. Again, when I'm exhaling it, I'm using the cylinder. Visualize it. When I completely exhaled it, hold it. So what did I ask you to do now? 4 things. Of course, you visualize it. You have a nose, which is actually going to inhale and exhale air. There's a passage, just an instrument. I imagined a long pipe, 1 foot maybe. Then I'm imagining air is inhaled, inhalation, holding, exhalation, hold it. This in yoga, when you inhale it, you're filling up your lungs. Inhalation, air goes in through the nostrils, it goes to the windpipe, it fills the lungs. To fill the lung as much as possible, there's a diaphragm below the lungs. The diaphragm acts as a pump. So when the diaphragm is shrunk, you have bigger space for the lungs. So you do that. This kind of filling up is called purakam. Purakam is a word, technical term, to inhalation. Now, when I say control means what? Control is what? What time it comes in? How long does it come in? It's not. So only two control you can exercise. What time? When I decide to. That's enough. How long? I don't know. So I have bhavana, maybe 1 foot of air. Or the best way is 1 foot of air is when I count 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or Om Sri Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Doesn't matter. Matra is the sound measure. So therefore, I am exercising control by when it enters, how long it enters. It's called purakam. Now it is there in my lungs. I hold it, nothing comes in because I want to exercise when it can go out. That's how control is. Therefore, I hold it. Without struggling, I hold it. The holding part is called kumbhakam. Don't worry about this technical terms. It's not important. Now I exhale out. When I exhale out, it's called rechakam. Again, I decide to exhale. Then I exhale out through this pipe. How long? Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I hold it. When I hold it, what happens? Air is outside. There is no air is inside. Why there is no air inside? I exhale completely. Purna rechakam. Only when you do that, it's called rechakam. Otherwise, it becomes a swasa prasvasha. I completely exhale. There is a struggle to get air for a second. There's shunyam there. So you can say 4 stages. Purakam, kumbhakam, rechakam, shunyam. People say Andarmukha kumbhakam, Bagirmukha kumbhakam, all the whatever, doesn't matter. Now, if you can do that, see, pranayam is a very sensitive exercise. There is no need to do pranayamam, all this purakam. You count, the measurement goes differently. 1, 2, 4. The yogis do 16 counts of purakam, 32 counts of kumbhakam, 64 counts of rechakam, for example. I count 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, I keep on. Then I hold it. Then I also control which nostrils it comes, which nostrils it go. See, all these are a lot of techniques. So you can learn all this from a learner teacher. You can practice it. Even if you don't need to practice all this, fine. This is only va also. So don't worry about it. So if you are struggling with this, don't need to do that. But it is worthwhile to spend 5-10 minutes every day to watch how the breathing goes. As long as it goes and comes, it's fine. That's very important. But if you're able to control it, the beauty is the moment you think about breathing, control comes in automatically. The moment you think, am I breathing? I give an exercise. Take a mirror in the morning and go and put your nostrils and breathe out. And you'll see the vaporized image on this one. You'll see there are 2 blocks of vapor. But you see they are in different sizes. That will tell you how you're exhaling. You're exhaling on both nostrils or one nostril. The control means you are able to take in one, take it out another, and vice versa, at your own will, their own pace. There are a lot of side tools are there. The way, when you get stressed, what do you do? Oh my God. In those days, servants will say, when they see the boss, they should do like this because they get anxiety, breathing not going well. Natural stimuli is control your glands under your armpits, or control the arms here. Pull this truth when you hold your fingers in this mudra, and if you hold it like this, you pull it, your breathing changes. When you do prayers, you do this. So there are a lot of subtle points they say they teach you. All this is to control the breathing. What's the point of this? Point is, prana is anas. When you are watching the breathing, when you are breathing slowly, you think about it, you think slowly. Or you stay put on what you're thinking. Aram se. This is what is the goal of this yoga abhyasam, is it not? Chitta vritti, nirodham. So here, therefore, he says, what's the time? Okay. So here, therefore, he says, you can also do by puraka, kumpaka, rechaka, shunya, breathing control. So take, before you do a japam or a dhyanam, before you do anything, if you go and give a public speech, you go into your company presentation, business case presentation, what do? You stand out there, like athletes do, long breathing. So breathing is a very essential tool, essential resource. You abuse it. Tortoise live 200 years because it breathes very slowly. The dog, it's very short life because breathing is not controlled. Even the, Jatakam, they say, look at your horoscope and say, I will live for 76 years or whatever they say. How do they know 76 years? Who defined the years? Julian calendar didn't come. It is by the pranas. You are given, the prarabdha karma decides how many swasha praswasha you do. Therefore, by controlling the breathing, you are able to prolong or shorten your life. But that is not important for us, but you can enjoy the life. So that's what it is. So this is directly related to the value system. Therefore, but for our learning, what we do, we don't take that or this, we take that and also this. So we do this abhyasam, vairagya abhyasam, ishvara pranidhanam, ishvara japam, omkara japam, and whatever the punya karyas we do, then we convert the values, we appreciate happiness, we love happiness, we compassionate to the people who are suffering, we do the overlooking the evil-minded people, and then we also take the breath control. Maybe we could do one more before we finish up. 5 minutes there. Okay. Next one. Vishayavati va pravritti utpanna manasaha sthiti nibandhini. This is very interesting one. Well, also, we can do what? Vishayavati. Vishaya means objects. Vishayavati, having the object. Vishesha Vishayam is also a special, when you are thinking about something, when you do dhyanam or anything you do, you are on the object, the sense object, an experience. So when you get an experience in your senses, pravritti is a direct apprehension. You really feel that. I go to the performance of a musician. I have an experience. I'm listening to this. Yeah, sound comes in. It's interesting noise. I also having a popcorn, interesting in my mouth. Somebody is wearing a fantastic perfume, to smell. So a lot of vishayas coming there. I have a mixture of experiences coming through. That's not here talked about. You're talking about having a sense object experience, a direct apprehension. I'm listening to this raga, Bhairavi ragam. Popcorn smell doesn't appear to me. Nothing there except the Bhairavi. I'm just dwelling into this. You see, this direct apprehension, pravrittihi, utpanna. If that happens to you, then what you do, manasaka sthiti nibandhini. You can also say manasaka sudha nibandhini. How you can split it? The mind stability nibandhini. Nibandhini means that which seals, that closes it. Yeah, mind is established. What he's simply saying is, also, when you are focusing on something, and when you are able to achieve the direct apprehension, it may happen because you are, without your effort, the involvement becomes so deep. Of course, there are certain scholars define it that you will achieve a different celestial experiences. Okay, they are taking to the third chapter. I don't want to go there, but even if you take it, like, when you do this dhyanam, you may get a smell of. If you are doing a dhyanam on honey, you will taste honey in your mouth. They say, maybe you have. I don't know. So that is also fine. But here we are not achieved anything. So my recommendation is to take this definition, which Vyasa gives, which I give. That when you are able to experience that which you want to experience at some point of time, and this is, I can guarantee you, happens to us all the time, but we don't have the capacity to hold on to it. Like the Parabrahman is always visible to us, Nityanandam. If it is such as Anandam is Nityam, how are we not seeing it? You are always seeing it. Like, somebody was in Bhagavan Ramana. Ramana was quiet and he came this morning, 9 o'clock. He was sitting the whole day, expecting a discourse and talk, People who don't have experience talks, like I do. Bhagavan was not talking. He was just sitting there. He finished and said, okay, when does the discourse start? And somebody said, Bhagavan is discoursing all the time. Silence is eloquence. You're not able to catch it. So we do have this kind of experience. It comes to us. Hold on to it. So, but we can take it very literally. When you're watching a movie, when you're reading a book, when you're writing a poetry or doing a gardening or cooking, look for that pravritti. You have that apprehension of it. When you have that thought, you stand, like I remember when great Guru was doing this puja, he was not saying the mantra, he was just staying there. And then he joins back after a few seconds, he joins back and someone commented he is not showing Shraddha, he's sleeping. No. His mind is getting sthiti. You hold on to the sthiti. Patanjali here is giving a hint. If you're able to hold on to that kind of experience that gives you stability in your mind, that is also good because it will create value. The same value will come because the person who are able to do that without reading Dharma Shastram, without going through the schools, he will become a good person. So there are so many ways. Patanjali is actually putting a net so that we cannot escape by saying that, look, I cannot do for this reason, because he's giving you all the reasons to say, this is doable, this is easy peasy, just take it and do it. So that's what he says here. So the direct perception of experiences of subtle or even celestial sense objects, you sense and you find in your mind, the Guru comes in, the God comes in, and you have an experience. Don't need to worry about telling others, improving others. Doesn't matter. You hold on to it because even, see, this is interesting because I remember reading it many years back. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he's a jnani, yogi, everything. And, he get ecstasy when see the Mahakali, and he prays. And when Advaitis came and argued against him about idol worship, he thrashed them and proved them why it is important to have idol worship. But then again he says, when he got this jnana of Advaitam, at the grace of Mahakali, what does he do with the sword? He cut the Kali. How beautiful he says. The very Kali that you worshipped, I will cut her into pieces with the sword of knowledge that I am Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. That mind, that stable mind of that object is futile to me anymore. I don't need this anymore. It is true. It is true that it is necessary for me to take it. That is my Mata. I worship her. She takes me to, because every time she shows herself into certain object form, I hold on to my mind. But then I get that anubhuti of Advaitam. I take this sword and destroy it. Does it mean that that means you cannot say, I know, he said that, therefore I will not worship God. Some people say that, look, I'm an Advaiti, I'm a philosopher, I don't worship. Nonsense. You do it, but you will be in a form where you don't need it anymore. So this is why it says, these things when you read from a book or something, when you simply take it, it's straightforward, simple value system. But it is so beautiful. It is actually giving you a baby steps to take it forward. So we learned today about the value system of how we conduct in ourselves in good and bad situation, happy and unhappy situation. Then we learned about the use of breathing as an exercise to inculcate the values. So we take pradignya that we will practice 5 minutes of breathing at home on your own time, that you're able to control it. And then we talked about our experiences that when it comes to us, be it music or be it gardening, be it cooking, I look for a placeholder where I can rest myself. So this is what we thought. Om Asadoma Sadgamaya
Soma Sadgamaya
Amasoma Jyotirgamaya
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya
Mrityorma Amardam Gamaya
Gamaya
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om
Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.